That's right. I absolutely agree. You know, something that the Quran says, the Quran talks about heaven and hell, you know, not being places, but being actually states of mind. So, what we learn in the Moore Science Temple of America is those particular lessons and exercises that allows for us to master our minds. So, in mastering our minds, we know that we actually create, you know, our living conditions or our living mind space. You know, my brother Shay Rayil used to always talking about, you know, having the chaotic mind space versus the peaceful mind space and the ability to create this space for yourself. And as a Moorish American, somebody who knows themselves, they know that this ability, that this capacity actually exists within them.
Islam, Islam, Islam.
Islam.
Man, Mo, you know, we was just building on the subject of friendship, and I was listening to what you were saying, and in my mind, I'm thinking like, I'm not the only person that needs to hear this. I mean, for real, I need to hear it.
Islam.
I need to hear it as much as you need to see it. I know me, like I talk a lot, I speak a lot, you know, and most of the time I'm speaking to myself. Like I be hearing what I be saying myself, and I be like, dang, you know what? I needed to hear that.
Mm.
So if you can like pick up exactly where you just left off, if Allah wills it, man, demonstrate something.
Islam. Yeah, like we were talking about, you know, certain times when we're thinking about unity and bringing Moors together, uh, we really should focus on the foundation. I was just over here thinking about how in the Quran it talks about the marriage of man and woman, and it says that the foundation of marriage is friendship. So what do we think the foundation of unity would be? It would be friendship. And at times we go so far in the sciences and trying to learn things, and we forget that you know before everything else we need to learn how to be friends with one another. you know that's important, just like it's important to come to terms on things we agree with or don't agree with. It's important that, like, learning how to love. you know we could say we love one another, but can we become friends? You know what I mean? Because that's most important. It says that we should be friendly to man as it is in our interest that man should be friendly to us. So
Right.
that's the foundation of mankind. We're supposed to be friendly. And you know that's what unity is all about. Before we get to organizing, and man, can we sit here and you know strengthen our bond and learn to love each other? You know what I mean? And that starts with friendship. What does friendship mean to you?
Friendship means to me, man. I mean, I just did 20 years in prison.
Mm.
So like if you would have asked me what friendship meant to me before I got locked up, then I would have probably told you that something like it meant being there, for your, friend, man or woman, in the thick of the thin, prepared to die, ready to go to war, their enemy is my enemy, things of that nature, you know. And and then prison happened.
Mm.
And now I'm sitting inside of this cell, and all of these people who I had at one point in time, risk my life, risk my freedom, risk the lives and freedom of my family for, poof, they disappeared.
Mm.
You know, so today, not all of them, not all of them, because I was able and blessed by Allah to be able to discover who my real friends were. Those were the people who held on to a part of me that I didn't even know existed. The people who, when I became a Moorish American and then I started doing what I do today, the people who tell me that they seen this in me all the time. since we were children. And I'm like, well, wow, you seeing it in me, but I didn't see it in myself. I didn't know it was there. I didn't know that I had, a part of me that loved people. I didn't know that I had a part of me that loved God, a part of me that was God. I didn't know nothing about that, And when I was, the type of person that people had a right, a real reason to give up on, because I had become toxic. They still stood by me, man. These people wanted for me what they wanted for themselves, even when I didn't even know what I wanted for myself. So that's what a friend wants for you, what they want for themselves. Now, I want to show you something, man. The Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America speaks to us about friendship. It says the friendship of Jesus and Lance. All right. And in the beginning, it says that this priest loved the Jewish boy. He loved them. Allah is love. And in that relationship that they have built between one and another, Jesus was able to unearth some things that was within himself, like the knowledge of truth, the knowledge of power, the knowledge of what man is, understanding wisdom and salvation. And all these things came about because of their friendship, them walking and talking. And the Prophet Noble Ali, he teaches us also that it's in our interest that we should be friendly with one another. He tells us about the bonds of affection that should unite us when we separate in the world. So, and that's what you were speaking to. You speaking to the fact that, yeah, we are separated, but we should still be united. But these bonds need to be built, Mo. Like, a lot of times we only come together with one another when there is a public meeting or a private meeting, the ADEP meeting, maybe, but we need to be coming together when it's just time to kick it. Like, I never forget thinking about these things when I was in prison. You would ask people, when they getting ready to go home, what you gonna do when you go home? And man, the people can tell you about their financial plans. They're gonna go home and start a business. They're gonna go home and get this job. They're gonna go home and go to school. Well, who you gonna hang out with? Who you gonna call when you just need somebody to talk to? These things is important. Like a lot of us in those times is the people who we kicking it with wearing fences or turbans the way we wear fences and turbans. Do they share our principles? Because if they don't share your principles and y'all out and about out in Asia and something happened, they're not going to respond to whatever happens the same way that you are.
Right.
It might cause you to compromise. And we know what happened when we compromise, Mo.
Islam.
So that's why I seen so much value in what you were saying, and it was touching me. And I really, in my mind, I'm like, you know what? No, I am absolutely not the only one who needs to hear this.
Indeed.
So that's important, Mo. That's very important. Build the bonds of affection. And I want to say this too. It was an elder who actually who pointed that degree out to me. A Sheikh Edwards Hill. Years ago when I was in the Crips, we on the phone talking. And he spoke to me about the friendship of Jesus and Lam. So this is important, Mo. This is important. And you said something else though, because you spoke to vanity. We can always recognize the most extreme, consequences of virtue, be they good or bad. We can easily recognize the most extremes. We can recognize if somebody is just absolutely narcissistic or conceited. We can see that, unless it's us. We need to learn to be able to recognize the more subtle aspects, the more subtle, consequences of these particular things. So, like, I ask myself, like, if I'm having a conversation with somebody, and there comes a time where they say something, and then you walk away thinking about the conversation, but it's gaps in there, and you're like, dang, I missed whole parts. Was I being vain at that time? Was I only hearing myself and seeing myself, worried about what I had to say and not listening to the other Mo? or not listening to her, because there's gaps, there's spaces that I can't recall because I wasn't there. I wasn't even present. Those are the little subtle vanity arriving, and we need to be conscious of that as Moorish Americans so that we can be better effective at building bonds of affection. Because I gotta hear you, Mo. Even if I'm disagreeing with you, Mo, I gotta hear you. You know, I gotta try my best to understand where you're coming from. You know,
And to your point, I often, see that in myself. Certain conversations that I'm having with people when we're trying to get our points across, I'm listening only to respond. And that's not always good, because yes, I may think or I may know that, I have the correct information, but part of me is blocking out their measure only to see where their error is so I can give them the fix, which is not beneficial to both of us. You know what I mean? It's not gonna allow my words to resonate with them unless I wholeheartedly hear them out with sincerity, because I have to, work on the fact of knowing or being aware of the fact that even if they may not be correct in all of the things that they're saying, I can still learn something from their mindset or their point of view. You know what I mean? I can still take some good from it instead of saying, like, oh no, in my mind, that's all incorrect and I'm going to correct you. You know what I mean? The Quran talks about a friendly admonition, you know? And that's way different than the admonition we be trying to give off these days. You know what I mean? We be trying to correct people and can't even see that our ego is making us say some hurtful things, or say it in a way that people can't feel it as if they would if you were to say it politely. You know what I mean? So it's definitely, when you mentioned Jesus in the mosque, that kind of friendship doesn't come when uh love is not on board. You know what I mean? Because they didn't agree with everything, but the way that they spoke to each other, the way they were sharing with each other, they built a bond and ended up being able to hear one another more so than they would have if they were just debating, or I'm gonna give you my portion to try to get you to think the way I'm thinking or see it the way I'm seeing it. That wouldn't have went as well as it would have, when they were just sharing in love, just conversing, talking about these things. You know what I mean? And that's why I strive to, put forth that same effort, although it's not easy. You know what I mean? Because some Moors may hit you with a mean spirit, and you got to work hard to not feel some type of way or resent them or change your principles when they do that. You know what I mean? That's why, I had a question that I often ask people: how do you practice seeing Allah in someone who is demonstrating in their lower self? You know what I mean? Because that's not easy, you know. But when you tap into that divine love, you'll be able to see past the rocky soil of carnal things. You know what I mean? Although they're being mean, I don't have to stoop that low. I'm gonna offer a couple friendly words on how you don't got to be mean to me. You know what I mean? I'm over here just in love, trying to talk to you. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to disrespect you by sharing my portion with you. I don't think that I know it all. You know what I mean? I know that I've been wrong in the past and I could be wrong now. I'm just demonstrating my measure, trying to, build with my brother or sister. You know what I mean? And that's where friendship, man, the Moorish Science Symbol of America is built on friendship. When the people got organized by the prophet, if there was no friendship in it, it wouldn't have worked. If people all in just didn't like each other or, at odds with one another, there is no organization. You know what I mean? So that's why a key factor in building and protecting the prophet in the temple is friendship, you know? How are we supposed to spread love, true peace, freedom, and justice to the four corners of the world when we can't even build a friendship between them more that we got difference of opinions with? You know what I mean? We trying to save the world, but can't even save our relationship with a brother or a sister. You know, that I mean, you gotta see me. I like to tell people that there are certain steps to get to the goal. We can't skip steps. We can't expect somebody to get to faith without starting that belief. We can't expect somebody to get to fruition without starting that belief. We can't expect somebody to get to love without, starting that purity. You know, we can't expect somebody to become united without even being friends. You know what I mean? So that's the thing that I put emphasis on most is how are you speaking to one another? You know, I'm never gonna speak to you anything other than like a brother or a sister, you know, or at least I try not to. And if I do, then I got things that I need to work on. You know what I mean? Because there's some good Moors out here that can be disrespectful at times, you know, just because they're taking on the energy of somebody else who's disrespecting them, or somebody else in vanity. Uh, they other people's vanity can influence you to be vain, you know, and that's why we were talking about how Islam is a simple faith. You know, when we deal with the basics, we're able to get to higher heights. You know, but if we skip the basic steps, we ain't gonna last up there. You know what I mean? We're gonna fall by climbing. You know, and that's why you know in the article "What is Islam?" it says that the house of peace is where no vain or sinful discourse will be heard. Imagine that kind of world. Or better yet, not even the word. Imagine that between a Moor and another Moor. That's what I'm trying to see. That's what I'm trying to create. You know what I mean? That takes some effort from where we are now and where we used to be. Yeah, we're better than we used to be, by way of the teachings and things like that. But you know, I got a question for you, brother. Do you feel as if you, in all your years of studying and practicing, do you feel as if you've made it to your higher self, the highest plane of life? Do you feel like you made it there?
I've experienced it. One thing about it, Mo, we all have a lower self. Right? The Holy Quran of the Most High Temple of America tells us that unnumbered foes will stand before the face of man, and these he must overcome them every one.
Mm,
So we're experiencing, defeating one foe, then we experience that higher self, that higher plane of life.
mm,
And then there's another foe, and we are brought back down to, reality the way it exists here on the plane of things made manifest. So the fact of the matter is that I personally am of the understanding that we all have experienced our higher self.
mm,
We've experienced love. We've had it given to us, and we've given it in about as pure as it can be given from one human being to another.
mm,
And then at the same time, we may have stepped right out of that condition into a carnal condition, into a carnal mind space. So there is no, I am absolutely modest enough to avoid that type of shame of sitting here saying that, yeah, I'm there. Nah,
right.
not penitent,
See,
baby, tripping. Listen, I be tripping.
see, and that's my point is that, sometimes we done been in the movement so long, we feel like we're there. We feel like I've made it past all of those things, and now I'm in my higher all the time. I done made it to second, third, and fourth heaven. Now I'm in those heavens, all the time. And I'm like, man, sometimes judging by our acts, words, and deeds, we can tell that no, you ain't in it all the time. You know what I mean? Like you said, we experience it, but you got to practice and strive to stay there. I remember, one of our good brothers talking about holding the thought. You know, we got to hold this thought and remain. Uh, you know, how it says to wouldest thou raise thy thoughts to infinite wisdom. Sometimes we go back down, you know. Sometimes we are wise, you know what I mean, and we have raised ourselves up to think from the infinite point of view, you know. But sometimes, like the book says, people can see things from the finite point of view, and that makes you act in a certain way. You know, that makes you demonstrate a certain vibration, and that's what we got to realize, and be humble. I never tell people that, oh, I'm in my higher self, you know what I mean, or I've reached heaven, you know what I mean, because I don't want to go as far as to be that, you know I don't want to not be demonstrating humility. You know what I mean? Because although I know I have experienced certain things, I know that I'm not always there. And who's to say when you've reached that? You know what I mean? Like, people talk about faithful members and things like that. I think that those things are judged by Allah. Allah says when you've reached that faithfulness. You know what I mean? Your brother can tell you, yeah, man, you've been real faithful, but Allah sees all and knows all, So he's the one that really knows what you was doing when you were by yourself, how you were thinking, you know what I mean? From time to time. So it's important, all of these things play a part in the world that we're trying to build, friendship, humility, um, you know, staying, holding a thought, staying on a certain vibration. When you're on the path of Allah, you don't do things the same way that you used to do them. You know what I mean? And when you demonstrate in a certain way, although you may be a Moorish American and attending your meetings promptly, if you're demonstrating a certain way to your brother and sister, then that's not indicative of being on the path. You know what I mean? When you're on the path, you treat people the way that people treat people when they're on the path, And it's different when you see somebody claiming to be a Moorish American Muslim and not using the things that Muslims use as tools to guide their lives. You know what I mean? Because in conversations with one another, we say we're Muslims, but we sometimes forget about how Muslims achieve peace between their brothers and sisters. You know what I mean? I ask people all the time, like, how can we say we're Muslims, we practice Islam, and not use the lessons of Islam in Muslims? You know, that doesn't make much sense to me. And it's hard to bear at times. The Quran says that he blusheth at falsehood. You know, and sometimes when more is demonstrating a certain way, it hurts my heart. You know, it, when I hear more, using profanity and stuff, it's like, oh my head, I don't like that feeling. It just hits me different. It doesn't feel right. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh no, this more than said this, and he's a more. That I can't hear that. No, that doesn't feel right to me. So, all of this, plays a major part in the goal that the prophet set up for us to reach. You know what I mean? And man, learning to love instead of hate. This is not the type of love that we used to learn. But we didn't have any idea what true divine love was. Brother Hopkins Bay said that divine love is unconditional. Imagine unconditional love. That means that if you coming at me with the most extreme hate, I'm still gonna love you. You know, I can look past that. It talks about how storms roar against his shoulders and still are not able to shake them. Man, imagine somebody demonstrating the most unrighteous character to you, and it doesn't phase you to make you demonstrate it back. Oh,
let me speak.
that's indicative of somebody seeing the reality of things. You know what I mean?
Oh,
That's the type of time and vibration that I'm trying to create for myself, and that takes practice. A lot of Moors, been doing this a long time. But sometimes we forget that just because you've practiced for 40, 50 years doesn't mean you don't got to practice no more. You still have a lower self, like you said. It's times where you're not all the way on the path, and it's times where you got to use the axe, use that compass and square, to make it symmetrical. Because sometimes we can color outside the lines, you know, and that's, man, and you know a lot of these things is hard to see when you think you're there. You know what I mean? You think you've made it to that pinnacle of wisdom. Oh, I'm a mighty more. You know what I mean? And yes, you very well may be a great more. Have put in so much effort to uplift others and things like that. But it's hard to see where our people get to the point to where they like, oh, I ain't got no more work to do. Who I am now and the character that I'm displaying, that's the character of the Moabites, when in reality, we got to strive to figure out what that character looks like. Although we've been in this and been doing this for years, we're not always on point, you know and that's going to help us. When we realize that, that'll help us to see that we shouldn't expect impossibilities of others. I
hmm.
shouldn't expect my brother to demonstrate all the virtues that I'm demonstrating, or all the virtues that I want him to demonstrate. He got to learn, he got to go through things in order to uh you know gather those virtues up and make them a part of himself. So when I look at you and I say, oh man, you should be doing this, you should be thinking like this, that's me seeking after impossibilities. You know what I mean? I'm not in control of where you're at along the way. And, man knows not by being told. So it's to the point to where all of the non-friendship, the so-called division, you know what I mean? It stems from, like you said, the finite and the infinite point of view. You know what I mean? How we're seeing these things, that uh, will determine how you act on these things. You know what I mean? Islam.
I got it. I want to speak to a few of those points, right? When you talk, when Hawkins Bay talked about true love being unconditional,
Mm-hmm.
quite naturally, the first thing we'll think is, how we impact one another. How my vibrations affect your vibration.
Mm.
But unconditional, that it gets a little deeper than that too, because the universe or the world, it has a way of applying pressure as well. You could be sitting somewhere, you could be somewhere, and there's no one else around, but life start life and then conditions change.
Mm.
And then when these conditions change, we start feeling a certain way. Sometimes we start getting these feelings that we don't know how to define. And then we lash out at our brothers and our sisters and the people who, when they come around us, somebody might come to you and see your vibe, feel, sense your vibration off the Islam, oh, you well. And man, I don't know. You understand what I'm saying? See,
Mm.
the conditions, to show love despite all in any condition is a trying thing,
Mm.
because we can't plan for some of the things that happen to us in life, Mo. That's why it's so important for us to preserve, to promote, and practice and proclaim who we are all the time, so we could be as best prepared as possible.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Here's something else that you demonstrated, right? And I want you to try to understand this. The Prophet Noble Ali, he established the criteria for what becomes a faithful member. All
Mm.
right. Prophet Noble Ali said all Moorish Americans must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and a parcel of all uplifting acts in the Moorish Science Temple of America. Members must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of the Moorish Science Temple of America. then he is entitled to the name of faith. Entitled to. All right. Now, you said, well, you know what? Once I'm observing you, but I don't know what you do in secret. But guess who do know what you do in secret? Allah knows, but he's not the only one who knows. You know as well.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So for me, coming into the Moorish Science Temple of America, being made, having it being made, understanding to me what it means to be a faithful member, I decided, hey, you know what? I want to be a faithful member. So when I do catch myself in secret tripping, because I trip, I'm like, you know what? Get on the Lord's path and stay on the Lord's path. Make a speedy reparation. Start to do the right thing. Eventually, we get strengthened in doing right. We become more powerful because good is that power. We start to do good and to be good. With that being the case, Mo, I don't advise nobody to expect even for themselves to be perfect. That's why my is the second step, bro. Obey the prophet. Obey the prophet as much as you can. The prophet Noble Ali gave us instructions. Follow the prophet's instructions. The second step is modesty. Say, teaching modesty shall not be ashamed. You know, stay humble. Stay humble. Stay modest. That's why, for me, it's so important. More, you know, and I'm gonna tell you a couple things about me. One, I'm super naive. I'm super duper naive. Anybody who know me, the people that know me, really know me, they laugh at me all the time because you know people say things and do things, and I be like, well, I didn't see it or I didn't hear it. Like you know, I wasn't paying attention, Mo, because I'm naive, and I'm also extremely one-track minded. When I get focused on an objective, then I'm going hard after the objective, and I'm not really paying attention to what else is going on around me. Now, others might consider these to be flaws, but me, I don't want to not be naive because I want to always give people an opportunity. I love people. I want to give people a chance. So I would rather stay naive because eventually, you know, I'll see what's going on. I'll pick up on it. You know what I mean? And Allah protect me along the way. Now, with that being the case, right? Man, Mo, night when I lay down and I rewind the tape of my day, I'll play back some conversations that I might have had with some people, especially like at work, because I work around a lot of Europeans and stuff, and they kind of different. And then I'll remember a thought that I had, and at the time it'll just happen. You'll just think it. But then when it rewind and I play it back in my mind, I'd be like, come on, Mo, you know better than that. Why did you even think that thing? Okay. The prophet Jesus said, my lower self is strong, but many times I am bound down to carnal life, Mo. You understand what I'm saying? He realized, even when others didn't, you know, they loved the Jewish master. You understand what I'm saying? They marveled at his wisdom, even when he was a child. But he knew that he had a lower self. We know, Mo. You know what I'm saying? We know now we got to be honest with ourselves. That's the part that's gonna help us get moving beyond and be able to actually keep that lower self in check because it ain't going nowhere. It's there for a reason. It's there for a reason, Mo. And you know what? I need help. I need help. I need help controlling me, Mo. I've spent a long time living a carnal life. I spent a long time, you know, just existing in that lower vibration, not even considering coming up out of it, not even realizing what it was. I didn't even know what it was. I didn't know that a man had a lower self and a higher self. Well, I didn't even know. You know, so just being in my low, I had become conditioned to that. So it's very, very easy, and I'm susceptible to revert back to being in that condition and might not even recognize that I'm there. So I need help. We need one another. We need friendship, Mo. We need ones who want to be able to really say, listen, Mo, get in front of you and say, Mo, snap out of it. Okay? That's why it's important that we take these opportunities, that we give each other time to sit down, get to know one another. We need to know who we can trust. Okay? And everybody needs somebody, Mo. No man lives unto himself. That's the instruction. Knowing that, that should keep everybody who say, well, I don't want to be bothering nobody, you should check yourself in the moments, because the Holy Quran say no man lives unto himself. So you trying to force an unnatural condition on yourself, thinking that it's going to make your conditions better. It can't. We all need somebody, Mo. You know, I got a question for you. Being where you are today,
Mm-hmm.
if you can, I want you to tell me 5 people who you know contributed to you being a better person today than you were in the past. Tell me 5 people.
Are you talking about in or out of the movement?
I don't care if they in or out of the movement. See, what I'm really hoping is that they listening and that they can realize how they impacted your life.
Mm. Because you know, I would have to say my grandmother, you know what I mean? And, you know, although she was you know, a European and a Christian, she helped me to, you know, the way that she lived her life, you know what I mean? And how she treated others, you know, how she cared about people. I feel like that is something that I took on, you know what I mean? I'm so caring and, you know, about strangers, about family, you know what I mean? That stuff means the most to me. So I think that had a big part to play in, you know, uh me learning to love humanity. You know what I mean? Um, Also, you know, there are people, you know, I don't even know if I could name 5 people off the top of my head that I know that, you know, directly made an impact on me changing. Um, but there are people who I don't even realize that helped me change. You know what I mean? Because even though people may not have influenced me to do right or to be a better person, somebody may have shown me the opposite of what I would like to do, you know, or the consequences of not being a better person. You know what I mean? So that's really how I lived my life even before this. Is I learned from all examples, good and bad. You know what I mean? If it's a good example, oh, I can build on that. I can put that in myself. If it's a bad example, oh, I'm steering clear of that, you know? So I think that you know, I've had many examples that have brought me to the person that I am today, because even before I was, you know, a proclaimed Moorish American, I feel as if I was a good person. You know, I used to do small things in order to do my part in building a better world, even though I didn't even realize that there was a need to do that, or that I, you know, had something in me that really wanted to do that. You know, I used to do something like, you know, at the times where you at the vending machine and you don't got enough, you know, I feel bad for people. I feel bad for myself. So sometimes when I got a little extra change that come out, I just leave it in there. So the next person, if they don't got enough, they can use that little extra change that they found in there, you know, because I used to check, see if anybody left any change in there, you know, help me get that little thing I was trying to get, you know.
That's
So,
right.
I mean, you know, excuse me. Yeah, it's important that, you know, we take even the smallest steps to be better people. You know what I mean? We can write books and start organizations and things like that, but you know, even uh I remember I was at the movies one time with the family, and I held the door open, you know, for another family that was coming behind me, and they was like, you know, they treated me so well because I did that, you know, like, man, this is a respectable young man, you know, you can learn something like about that, you know, or from that, and it feels good when people recognize you doing good, you know. I remember not too long after I proclaimed my nationality, I didn't really change. I ended up getting scammed on Facebook Marketplace,
Mm.
and I got my taxes. It was about like 1,400, and I was trying to buy a car, so I could be getting back and forth to work, help my son's mother and, picking him up and things like that. So all in all, I was getting it for my son, so I could take care of my business, and ended up getting scammed. And I was so upset. I'm over there telling them like, man, I hope this is not a scam, fell for a sob story, all kind of stuff. And it was to the point to where, right after, the day after, I was upset the first day. It wasn't nothing that I could do. It was over with. And then the next day, I was just over it, not over it to the point to where, it didn't hurt, but over it to the point to where I'm not going to let that get to me. Maybe it wasn't meant that I had that at this time, all things happen for a reason. That's what I was trying to think about it, and, I feel good that I'm able to be that kind of person, not to, lash out. Now I'm about to break something that I really needed, you know what I mean? And then be mad after because I broke it and now I don't have that no more, you know? And then another experience I had to make me know that I've really changed is, when you find a $100 bill on the ground, you don't be thinking about the person that dropped it. You just be so happy that you found it. Oh, look what God done brought to me. You don't even think about the person who lost it. You know what I mean? But I was working down at Peoria Charter, the bus place, cleaning buses. And when I first started working there, judging off my looks, people just assumed that I'm black and that I would like to engage in those type of conversations. And
Right.
I don't correct them. I don't feel that's necessary all the time. Like, hey, no, don't talk to me about that. I'm not black. I don't hit with that. But he told me, he was like, yeah, man, I hope they don't see this. I ain't trying to get nobody in trouble. You know what I mean? But he told me, he was like, yeah, man, if you find a wallet, put it in your pocket, go to the bathroom, take the money out and throw the wallet in the garbage. And I'm like,
Oh
I am
man.
not about to do that. I said, you don't know me, that's what I was thinking. And it was to the point to where one day I actually found a wallet. He told me, he was like, the most I done found was like 500, and I'm like, oh my goodness. Back in the day, I probably would have kept that or tried to do that little, sneaky move or whatever. But I'm talking about, man, I found a wallet that was so thick. I ain't never felt a wallet this thick, like so full. And I handed it to the person who was the lead that day, just so they could turn it into the lost and found or whatever and find out, what seat it was in and stuff like that. And, I forgot about it. But that's just, me, that was me becoming who I'm supposed to be, demonstrating Moorish character instead of, the Negro, lifestyle that I used to live, And one day I came into work and, they had an envelope for me. And I'm like, man, what is this? It got my name on it. I hope I'm not in trouble or anything. I didn't know what it was. And I guess the guy was so happy that I returned his wallet to him. He gave me two $50 gift cards to like Chili's and Applebee's or something like that. And I'm like, oh, wow. I felt so good that I did a good thing and it came back to me, Like, even though, I don't eat those kind of things, I felt blessed. Like, wow, I did something good and good came back to me. That was so, uh, and that's dealing with friendship. I was a friend to somebody I didn't even know and didn't even stoop to evil and to take his money that he worked so hard for. He basically gave me $100, for returning his money to him. And I often think about that. I was thinking about it the other day. I was like, wow, I ended up giving those gift cards to my grandma, and I bought some of her last meals that she ever ate with those. I felt good about that. Like, wow, that, I'm glad I did something good because at that time I didn't have any money, but I was able to go get her some good food while she was in the hospital. Didn't want to eat that hospital food. You know what I mean? So that was important to me, and it showed me that, like, man, I'm glad that I'm changing. And although I may not have had that $500 to $1,000 that I could have stole, I still got some blessings that are worth way more than that. So when
Way.
we're talking about friendship, man, correcting somebody and you being right is not always gonna benefit both of you in the way that it could if you were friendly with that person. It's important that we understand this and the effects that things have, because why would I uh settle for that carnal come up when we can have a divine come up, when we all can benefit from something. You know what I mean? That person got their money back. I got an experience that made me want to strive harder to be better, and to keep being better. If I would have stole that, and you know how you feel when I don't know if you know, but how you feel when you steal something, you feel like you got away with it, and now you buying stuff. You feel good that you able to buy those things, but imagine the difference between the two feelings. Oh man, now I really want to keep doing better. When I talk to my brothers and sisters, even though we may not agree, and they say they demonstrate a little lower self vibration towards me, and I don't reciprocate it, or I hit them with the friendly, polite, kind words, as the prophet instructed, I see the benefit of that now, and it benefits all parties, even the ones that are listening in. You know what I mean? And that's the most important thing for me in this movement is, you know, how I treat others and how I respond to how others treat me. You know what I mean? Islam.
Islam, brother Ricardo. Hey, Islam, boy.
Islam, my brother.
Family, how we doing?
All is well. Talking about friendship.
Praise Allah. Friendship, friendship is important. I mean, we all, the Quran talks about enjoying the bands of society, right? Nobody, excuse me, I think you alluded to it earlier. Nothing that we see was ever built by one person. Right? Everything that we see in a manifest is a collective, right? But specifically with friendship, I mean, being there for one another, holding each other accountable, holding each other to a standard. That's how we improve, right? Because if I could draw from you, you could draw from me. We come together and we build each other up that way. Yeah, man. I mean, it's one of the most important things. But I love you. I appreciate y'all letting me into the room, man. I got back from a lot of traveling. I'm back and settled in finally. So praise Allah. I'm loving what I'm hearing.
Glad you made it back safe, my brother.
I was just about to say that. This most stay in flight, Mo.
Talk about it. Talk about it.
Mo. Before we went live, you made a point. Speaking about your age, being 28 years old, and not really knowing a lot of Moors who were actually in the temple that was the same age as you. Well, there are Moors that's coming around and coming into the temple that are even younger. You know what I mean? A lot younger than you are.
Mm-hmm.
What needs to happen is this: we need to have opportunities like this where these Moors can just jump on board and we can start building and start talking and get to know one another and start to respect one another's mind, start to understand where what type of person I'm dealing with, because I teach an effective communications class for our members and our temple. It's open to anybody, okay? But one of the things that I always like to express for people to understand about being an effective communicator is that the chances that you are communicating to somebody else that is an effective communicator is slim to none. They don't know how to express themselves.
Right.
So they might struggle to tell you how they really feel. That's communication takes place across all types of channels. Okay. Right now we are talking with one another. We are looking at one another. But there are people who are just, commenting on a post. And it might not come across the way that they actually think it. You understand what I'm saying? But when we get these opportunities to feel one another out, all right, as Moorish Americans, we know that even though you are, where you are, I am where I am, and the Mo is where he is, but we can still feel one another because the vibration transcends all of that space and everything in between it.
That's right.
All right. So when we create these type of panels and we throw the link into the chat and just say, hey, if you want to come and build with the Moors, whoever you are, come in love, come respectfully, come. You got something you want to talk about? Let's talk about it. Let's build on it. Let's just get to know one another.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Because what I've noticed since I've been home, one of the differences between being in a little small place all the time is, we be with the Moors all day. We always together. We do everything together. Whereas out here, we don't have that same type of luxury. So we need to take advantage of whatever little moments that we can find and to spend those moments with one another. And if we can, build and get closer to one another, then we need to be striving to do that. That's what's going to, cause the illusion that is disunity to vanish, or for us to recognize that it's only an illusion. You understand? The things that we think, the differences we believe that exist, there are differences. We wasn't made to be completely alike, though, Mo.
That's right.
All parts of a puzzle. You understand what I'm saying? You might be an arm, I'm a leg. Arms and legs don't look alike. They don't function the same. That's all right, because the body don't need 4 arms.
Oh man, that's so true, brother. And I mean, building the trust outside, in these sideline conversations, really getting to know one another makes the job a whole lot easier, right? I had one of my business partners. He told me last week. He said that business moves at the speed of trust. Business only moves as fast as the speed of trust, right? So what that entails is really getting to know one another on a deeper level, right? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses, and vice versa, right? What's your backstory, right? How did you arrive here? Because we all have a unique background, a unique story, and I feel that a lot of time it gets lost in the sauce when we're propagating, right? We're just on the go. We're teaching and instructing and not really taking the time. Like the brother Maurice Pennington Bay, he's creating this safe space where we can really get to sit and learn one another. That is the only way we're going to be able to build this nation, right? We say children of one father provided for by his care, breast of one mother. Then we need to know. We need to know all of what that entails. Where were you born? Who are your mother and father? Tell me a little bit more about you. Go into detail. What are your profession? What have you done in the past? How can you be of use to the movement? Right? These things are important. And I feel with the space like this is where we get to be vulnerable and open up and be able to share that with one another. Right? I know, for me, that in business, right? Before we even get into what's the business proposition, how much capital you need, I want to know about you. How did you arrive here, right? Who do you know? If it's a referral, how long have you met this person? What have y'all done together in the past, right? Do y'all know each other family? Do y'all go out and meet and sit and talk and actually build with one another? Though that's really what's important, because if I'm investing, yeah, you can have the best idea in the world, or you could be, you can have all the money in the world. No, I'm investing in you as the individual. I'm invested in the person. You see, that's what's most important, is the person and the vision that they have. And how can I be of a value add in assisting you in building or bringing that vision to fruition? You see, so it all goes back to the friendship, right? Business, the foundation of business is friendship. We got to be friends. We got to be able to trust one another. We got to like one another, right? I mean, that's not always the case, but it helps. It definitely helps. It helps to get things done. So, and we know that, what be able to build those the bonds of affection, you know, that unite us. You know, that's so important, y'all. So Islam.
I want to say this. The brother Brother Wilson Bay invited me to come and conversate. From my understanding, he invited quite a few more.
Right.
You know, and that's how we arrived here. And he also, you know, we was just having a talk. We was just, you know, together, you know, and we was just conversating. And I asked him, I said, well, you know, what is your objective for, you know, bringing us here? And he said, man, I want to build these friendships. You know, I feel like these friendships are important. And he started talking, and I'm just sitting there listening. And like I said already, I was listening, and I was like, you know what? I'm not the only person who needs to hear this.
Right.
You know, so I'm like, hey, listen, I'm going to cut the live on so that we can have this conversation, and I hope that others, you know, that's listening can take from it, chime in. Please come chime in.
That's
You
right.
know what I mean? So, one of the things with us that we to really, really embrace is something that Allah communicates to us through the Prophet Muhammad. All right. Allah says, because the Prophet Ali tells us that we have the Quran as the revealed word of Allah.
That's right.
Right? Allah says through the Prophet Muhammad that we are the best example that mankind has. All right. I realized a long time ago that just because we are the best example that they have, that doesn't automatically mean that we are a good example.
That's right.
Okay. So we have to actually be that good example. That's something that we have to do intentionally.
That's right.
You know, so with that being the case, Allah says through the Prophet Noble Ali that men need a pattern for their lives. They love to follow, not to lead.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing this, being instructed of this fact, this truth, we have to intentionally develop that pattern. And then we cannot ever tell men to do what we have not done.
Right. Yeah.
So we have to then take those steps, follow our teacher who made the sacrifices to be that pattern. You know, and it wasn't just the Prophet Ali after the meeting was opening at the end of the meeting, speaking and ministering to the Moors on the podium.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was him building them friendships. You know, Moors was injured when the Prophet Ali changed form because of the friendship, because they loved him.
That's right.
Actually loved him. They loved what he provided to them.
Mm-hmm.
What he gave them one-on-one from his lips to their ear. You know, and that's the thing that will cause us to stand in defense of one another.
That's right. You
know, when we build those bonds of affection, like the brother said earlier, he said that if we had, I'm gonna quote you. I'm gonna paraphrase what you said, Mo. All right, but the Mo made he made a point. He said that if we had love, if we had that love between one another, we could disagree all day.
Go ahead. That's right.
We could disagree all day. Love would protect us. Love would leave us, you know, in the condition where we could go lay down after disagreeing and wake up and still be brothers and sisters and act like. But when love is not there, we can leave and wake up enemies more. Now listen, most of us from the street, okay, it get dangerous when we become enemies.
Indeed.
You understand what I'm saying? So that's not something that we should allow to take place. We already understand those consequences.
Right.
We understand. The prophet said we need to learn to love instead of hate. He didn't even tell us to study hatred because there's no need.
We're masters at it already. We got to learn to love. And it's an ongoing process. You don't just wake up and, oh yeah, I love everything all the time. And then you know, to the brother T. Wilson Bay's point about being in that higher self, right? Many have the misconception of I have arrived. None of us, you haven't arrived. As long as you in flesh, you can arrive. It's an ongoing process.
Right.
Every single day. It's like every single day you have to get up, right? That great meeting is on. Every minute, every hour, every second of every day. The strife between the higher and the lower. You don't actually like that ladder, right? We go up and down that ladder hour by hour, right? But we have to, we got to get to the point, right? In our practicing, we can be constant in that, right? So it's possible to stay constant, but it's not permanent until you're up out this flesh. Because as long as you got this body of flesh, it's the lower self. You're gonna be dealing with these things. You got to deal with it, right? So it's a battle, right? The Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, he said the greatest jihad is the one within, right? That striving, daily striving, right? But when we conquer that, when we get that in check, now I could deal externally with my brothers. I can actually come to you in love and build with you, right? See, you know, when I look into the face of man, I'm looking at the image of Allah that speaks within, right? Then I can do that. Once I deal with it myself, once I deal, it's you versus you every single day. It's you versus you. See? So that's why the prophet said, he said, the heaven, the earth, the hell ain't above, around, below. It's within. I think we missed the earth part. We get caught up on the heaven and hell, but the earth part, earth is also within, right? So the manifest external reality also is a reflection of what's within.
Islam.
So it's all it's you versus you every single day. Conquer yourself, you can conquer the day. That's it. Yeah.
See, you know, what I'm thinking about, you know, just being on the call with you brothers is that you know, we don't necessarily agree on everything, you know, but this conversation and ones we've had before is, you know, showing me the truth of the Quran. You know what I mean? That we can remember the relation that binds us to love and unity, and it can allow us to, you know, eat away at that separation. You know, we can learn to love our brothers and sisters, and you know, it's important to me that we have conversations like this and get to know one another because of the fact of look at what it's doing. You know, I've never actually pressed hand with you brothers in flesh, but I can feel the friendship growing from these conversations. Like I feel as if that's my brother, you know. I feel as if something were to be wrong with me or I was going through something, he would care, you know. Like when we don't have that friendship or that love on board, like you said, we can disagree and become enemies. Now I could care less if something were to happen to you. Yeah, I may feel a little bad, but not like I would if you were my friend. If you were considered a brother in my heart, you know, how I would feel if anything were to be wrong with you, if you were going through any type of hardship or anything like that. And this is the kind of work that we're supposed to be doing, you know, like you said, getting to know the person, not just what are you doing, what businesses you got started, what books you done wrote, you know, not what you're going to create in the future. Who are you? You know, what kind of person are you? What kind of character are you displaying? You know, and when you have a friend or a brother and they demonstrate lower vibrations, you don't see it the same as if it was not your friend. You know, when you see a brother demonstrating in the lower, you like, oh man, he tripping right now. You know, when it's not a friend, you like, oh man, that brother. You know what I'm saying? That brother always doing that. You know, that's his vibration. That's the only vibration that he ever has. You know, but when you're a friend, you know, you see it differently. You know what I mean? When that unconditional love is on board, it allows you to see past certain things and see the reality of it. Yeah, the brother has a higher and lower self, but he also has Allah within him, you know? And when we realize that, we don't necessarily lump each other in the pot, and make it seem as if their character is only the wrongdoings that they do, you know. A brother could hit me with some negativity and I could say, oh, that's a negative brother. Or the brother can hit me with some negativity and I could say, oh, the lower self and the higher self, we're fighting. You know what I mean? We all fight our higher and lower self. So I could see past that and see that, hey man, maybe he's just in a trial right now. You know what I mean? Maybe he's just fighting his lower self. We win some and we lose some. Like you said, while we're on earth in this flesh, there's always going to be a yin and a yang. And you're not always going to be in your yang or in your yin, you know? So
That's right.
it's important that, like I said earlier, we don't expect impossibilities of others. You know what I mean? And I was working on a song and I said, I'm trying to be a friend to man because I'm God conscious, you know, and what you do to man, you do it to Allah.
That's right.
And that's something that, you know, over the course of time and dealing with the higher and lower of our brothers and sisters, we just have to remember certain things in order to still be aware that they have Allah within them. I used to tell people like, man, if everybody has a part of Allah within them, then who are you mad at? Are you mad at them? Are you seriously getting upset with them when they got Allah within them? You know, because what we do to man, we do to Allah. That is something that was so shocking to me when I heard it in the Quran. You know, when you harm in thought, word, or deed another man, you do it wrong to Allah.
Wrong to
It didn't say you do it wrong to them.
Right.
Although, yeah, we may know or we may think that we're doing wrong to them, we're doing wrong to Allah. That is crazy. That is something that is like life changing when it comes to, trying to be a better person. Oh, I don't want to do wrong to you, not because I don't want to do wrong to you, but I'm in actuality will be doing wrong to God. That's way deeper than just disrespecting somebody or something and feeling like, yeah, I disrespected them, maybe I can apologize. No, I disrespected Allah, because that is Allah's creation. I thought about it one time, on the subject of friendship. I used to try to communicate the things that I was learning to my friends who aren't proclaimed, or they,
Right.
they hear me out, they see what I'm saying, but they don't strive to live this type of life or go towards this path or whatever. But I used to try to communicate things like, man, when we're walking down the street and we see people riding in the car, we don't need to see them as just some strangers, Oh, that's our brothers and sisters in that car. That's the other children of Allah in that car, and also I remember, you could be with your friends, and you know how us men could be, before all of this with women. I'm out to eat with my two of my brothers, and they over here talking about the waitresses, how they look good and this and that, and I'm like, man, hold on, that's my sister. That's my sister you talking about. They're like, for real? And I'm like, no, but yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, man, she don't deserve these thoughts to be getting thrown her way. You don't even know her, what she going through. We have to be a friend to other humans. It says Islam is a simple faith. It requires one to recognize their duty towards God, Allah, and our fellow creatures.
Come on.
Come on now. We gotta remember. Well, no, not necessarily even remember. I mean, we could say remember because there was a time where we used to know this when we were the ancient Moabites. But now we have to learn how to be a friend. We're learning to love and learning to be a friend. Learning to be a friend, that's just the first step in learning to love. Because like I said before, how can we learn to love somebody who we don't even see as a friend? And Brother Ricardo Bay, what would you say? What does friendship mean to you? How do you see friendship?
That's a really good question. Friendship to me is something that, well, it develops over time, right? I really gotta spend time with you. And I'll use brother, Pennington Bay as an example. We've known for 5+ years now, all right? And you know, I have to credit him because he's the reason why Allah through him, right? I'll put it that way. Is how I made my way to the Moorish Science Temple of America back in 2019. But we connected on Facebook initially, and we just started going back and forth. I started following the brother because I was coming out of the say what it is, the sovereign citizen demonstration. I got caught up with it because I didn't know no better, right? Trying to figure things out online, studying different teachers, trying to really figure it out, thinking I was doing the right thing. But when I saw the brother demonstrating, and I saw some of the other chiefs that was officials in the Moorish Science Temple of America, my common sense kicked in, like, okay, it's something is lining up, right? So I must be on to something. But then, over the years, right, even outside of our temple meetings and outside of Friday, Sunday school, we would communicate, right? In spite of, and I'm not, share the condition and stuff, but in spite of the situation and condition that he was in, right? We still communicated back and forth. And it develops over time. We got to know each other over time. I mean, I have, and I sent it to you a couple of weeks ago. I have voice notes from his grandmother from, when he was going through his ordeal, and grandma was calling me. Like, that's family. You see what I'm saying? Grandma's calling and reaching out to me. Maurice has told me to call and, reach back out. And then we were writing letters back and forth to each other. This was when I was in transition from moving from Brooklyn to Tucson, Arizona, where I'm currently living. But we stayed in contact the entire time. And over time, we start to develop the friendship because we begin to trust each other. We begin to know of each other's history and past, and then being in the same organization, getting the same teachings together, that's like the icing on the cake for me, So it's like, I know him from personally, even though we never met in the physical. I know the spirit. I know, you see, because we've spent that time over time, learning each other, right? Communicating with each other. And so friendship for me is a time thing. It takes time to develop. And these these conversations is what lead to building those relationships. See? So that's really what it is for me. Right. So it's not just because you're in the organization, oh, we're just friends all of a sudden. Like, no, we're brothers. Right. Brother and friend is two different things. Sister and friend is two different things. Children of one father, breast of one mother, but friendship is a whole other thing. Wow. See, in the chapter 7, Jesus and Yamaz, the friendship, right? He was asking them questions that whole demonstration because a true friend is going to keep you accountable. He knew that Jesus had the answer, but in the demonstration, he's keeping him accountable to what he knows. That's a friend. And we do the same. We keep each other accountable. That's what it's about, man. That's how we grow and unfold together. That's how we get better, right? If I'm just training by myself, right? Like, because I do weight training, right? I know for me, doing it by myself, I'm very inconsistent doing it on my own. That's why me and my wife went and got coaches. We got trainers. Why? Because we could go on the app and we could schedule 3 days out the week, 4 days out the week. And when I get there, they're going to say, hey, Ricardo, all right, I'm springing into action. You got to do this, keeping me accountable. Accountability leads to you becoming a better person. And that's mentally, physically, spiritually, morally, socially, economically. There's a saying that says that you are the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with. So it would behoove you, right, to surrounding myself with brothers like yourselves, Brother Pennington Bay, brother T. Wilson Bay. And I got other brothers and sisters, like when I was just in New York, Sister D. Shipman Bay, out there in New Jersey. We and ain't no pictures on Facebook about it, but we sat down for a whole hour and a half, getting to learn each other, having conversation. And mind you, we would attend our temple meetings, we would see each other virtually, but it was different sitting down in person. We sat down and we really broke bread and we built. That's important, y'all. You know, another brother, Reginald Tenzel, probably watched, had him fly out to Arizona. Why? To spend time with me and my family, so you can see how I'm living. I've always said this. I said, come see how I'm living. And it's not out of vanity. I'm saying, no, really come spend time with me. I want to spend time with you. Moorish American mom, this is why the prophet said Moors live around each other. We need to spend time with each other, because that would dissipate the confusion. That would dissipate the illusion of disunity if we really got to see how each other lived.
Mm.
And I could step into your household, shoes off, right? You come to my house, you got to take your shoes off at the door, right? Because I got carpet and stuff, right? We sit down. When the brother was over here, we sat down, we meditated. You know, we went through my morning, you know, we call it DMOs, right? Daily method of operation. We went through the morning routine, prayer, breath work, meditation, taking a reading out the Quran. He said, wow, praise Allah. And we just sat here and we laughed and we enjoyed each other's company. That's what it's about, y'all. That's really what it's about. So anytime that I'm traveling, I'm always intentional. If there's a morning area, I'm going to see you. I'm going to make it a point to see you. See? Very important, y'all. So that's what, for me, friendship is big, man. Friendship is big, because if we are friends, look, the sky is not the limit. Like, there's nothing we can't do. We friends, and we build on that foundation. My marriage, the foundation is friendship. That's why we've been successful in marriage. And we, you know, me and my wife going on 10 years together, 6 years married, because the foundation of our relationship is friendship. She is my friend in life, my helpmate, right? To assist me in the toils of life. And she's been that, you know, and if I have a chance to get into it, she actually saved my life. You know, many people don't know it, but when I was in New York going through my ordeal, mentally just checked out, she bought me a ticket and flew me out here to Arizona, and loving on me and her family, you know, and it was foreign to me because my biological family hadn't been together for so long. You know, it's been years since we've all actually been together. So when I got out here, it was like foreign to me, you know, the love they was giving me, hugging on me and, yeah, come here. I was like, but now I'm like, you know, like my father-in-law just dropped me at the house. You know what I'm saying? We hugged it out and we spoke on the way back home. And like, that's what it's about. Family, friendship. These are the things that's what's important. We get those two things down, we could do anything. We could build anything.
Y'all know what I can't wait to do, Mo? I can't wait to just go and visit the Moors Temple. Like, you know, I can't travel right now. I'm actually sitting in the halfway house right now because, you know, I got in trouble for going to the government's going home ceremony.
Right.
Here's what it is. When they take this ball and chain off of me, Mo, and I'm just gonna go across the country visiting all the temples, Mo, because I want to walk in. I want once to know Maurice Pennington Bay. There ain't nothing more important than the Moorish Science Temple of America to me. You understand what I'm saying? Like all the Moors here in Peoria, man, I call them all the time. Oh, I mean, I don't call them no more, you know, because it's only so many times you can call, all right? But hey, Mo, where you at? I'm gonna pull up right now. I mean, I don't, you know, we from the street. I understand that, but I'm going to the temple, Mo. You understand me? I want to go in. I want to sit down. I want to see how you demonstrating in Sunday school. I want to see how y'all ministering to one another on Friday Holy Day service. I don't care, you know, about leading. The Prophet Noble Jew Ali is ordained by God to be our leader here on earth.
Come on.
Allah guides the destiny of this divine movement.
Yes.
Each and every last one of us, we love one another. You understand what I'm saying? Of course, we have affinity for those who are nearest to us. But we brothers and sisters more.
That's
You
right.
understand me? This is the Prophet Noble Jew Ali's house, and it has many mansions.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to go and visit every room in it, you know, because I want to know them all. You know, I understand, you know, you're going to be welcomed in many of these places. And some more, they're going to be looking at you like what you're here for. I'm willing to show you that I come and look.
That's right.
You understand me? I invite that challenge because I recognize that we have been wrong. You know, we understand this. These are the things that we have to go through in order to build these bonds of affection. We're going to have to cross some shackles. We're going to have to build bridges. You understand me? We will actually have to build. We're gonna have to walk across some shaky bridges, but they there. You know, we gotta make some sacrifices for one another. This is how friendship is developed. You understand me? When you know that there exists real reasons to distrust, you have to be willing to earn trust more.
Mm-hmm.
You understand me?
Definitely.
You got to be willing because that's what friends do. You understand what I'm saying? They make themselves vulnerable. You know? I know that, Mo. Even and that's despite living a life of turmoil. Okay. I woke up this morning. See, it's a very few who know what the truth is about man, and even fewer who know what the truth is about Allah. I woke up this morning, Mo. I woke up despite everything that I've been through. I woke up this morning.
That's right.
Which means that those things are behind. So I invite the challenge to show you that I love you, okay? Because I know that love is the savior of the world. I will not be injured by loving you. I understand that. You know what I mean? We safe. You know what happened to the Mo? He vanished.
Oh. He'll be back. Yeah, spin the block, right?
Hey, you know what though, more for real, it's past that time. Y'all, you know, I'm in the center. It's time I'm in here. I got roommates. You know, they got wake up in the morning and do their thing. You know, so it's you know, it's about time for us. We'll see the Mo if he gonna pop back up so we can at least say peace.
right. Got to.
At least, what's that? So how was the trip though, Mo? All was well?
All is true. All is truly well, brother. I'm gonna run you down.
Where you gonna take a break, Mo? Where you gonna? You better get some sleep.
I'm just trying to do what Prophet say do, man. Prophet was on the road moving, man. So I'm just striving to live up to the standard because the Prophet is the standard. And I told the brother T. Wilson Bate, because we've spoken before. We've all spoken before. That's the thing. See why this is so natural? We've all communicated with each other many times before in love and peace, right? But I told the brother, I said about the whole, I guess he didn't want to, you know, with leadership and stuff. I said, Mo, the only leader, what you said, the only leader is Prophet Noble Ali. And then we followed the ones he appointed as long as they follow in him. That's it. That's it. It's that simple. And how we know he went that way? Thought, word, and deed. How you thinking? How you working? What's the results? Right? That's how we know who to work with. That's how we know who to follow. Look at the results. Right? You could tell a tree by the fruit it bears. That's it. So that's all I'm trying to do, brother. It's just I'm striving to live up to the standard. The Prophet, he set a high bar for us, but he know his children. You know, he know we hard-headed, stiff-necked. You know, won't do anything except at the point of his sword, but also he know that Allah and man are one. Allah is within all of us. So he set it high for us, but we got to meet it. We got to meet it at the end of the day, right? So,
hey, we was waiting for you to come back, Mo, because it's time for me to hit in. But Ricardo Bates just demonstrated the thought, and before we leave, you know, I just want to demonstrate a degree to the more, right? Prophet Noble Ali said, "Every word I speak is spirit, you more better heed." He said that we are hard-headed, stiff-necked people who won't do anything except at the point of a sword. Y'all know what that means? We got to point the sword. Because if pointing that sword is gonna make the Moors act, then it's time to pull some truth, which is a sword that cuts two ways.
Both ways, right?
Then justice, it's a sword, Mo. So since we know that Moors will move at the point of the sword, it's time to pull them swords, Mo. Straight up. Islam?
Praise Allah.
All right, Moors, it's a pleasure to demonstrate and deal with the Moors. We're going to have to do this over and over again.
That's right. That's what it takes.
Forget it, Mo. Just come and build. You know what I want to do? Because I'm unhappy I'm unhappy with the with the average Asiatic not knowing about the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America. So let's just make it a habit of getting together and just talking and just demonstrating Holy Quran.
So,
You understand what I'm saying? We just just have a conversation. The Prophet Noble Ali give us chapters and instructions, and we just share those with ones who don't know. Man, it's a lot of Moors, folks. That was one thing that shocked me. How many people got eels and babes in their name, but they don't even own a Quran. Oh, great. So let's bring the Quran to them. Islam.
Oh, let's do it. Let's do it.
All right, boy. I'm about to get ready to hit in. Y'all know how I got to do this.
That's right. I absolutely agree. Something that the Quran says, the Quran talks about heaven and hell, not being places, but being actually states of mind. So what we learn in the Moorish Science Temple of America is those particular lessons and exercises that allows for us to master our minds. So in mastering our minds, we know that we actually create, our living conditions or our living mind space. My brother Shay Rael used to always talking about, having the chaotic mind space versus the peaceful mind space and the ability to create this space for yourself. And as a Moorish American, somebody who knows themselves, they know that this ability, that this capacity actually exists within them.